Hey everybody, it's the Last Robo-Kai here, and it's time for a very large digression-filled episode of Let's Play Fate Samurai Remnant, and I'm joined by Cool Guy.
Get a beer and get chilled out, because digressions are the best for that stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a Saber digression today, in fact, which is, we don't do too many of those, but this one is a very important Saber digression.
Wait. Which Saber are we talking about here?
Oh, Saber.
Our Saber. Okay.
We will be learning Rogue Saber's true name today as well. And Rogue Lancer's true name as well. And we will be closing off another character's digression line as well. I believe this is the last one for this particular character. So that's, everyone just kick back, relax. We aren't off to get into a fight with Shisetsu yet. Pretty sure we don't even do that next episode. So let's get stuck straight in.
Good way for the episode to start out.
随分慌てているようだが。
どう説明したらいいのかな
Yep, that animation can't mean anything good.
小獅子ちゃんが一匹でとことこ
Oh,
やって
good.
きて
小獅子。
そう獅子ですしかも喋る獅子やあ君がいおりの妹かいって
喋る獅子。
Eori's like, I know what's up here.
考えるまでもなく
Yeah.
キル系だな。使い魔をよこしてきたのか。
いやー私すっかり動転しちゃったよしかもその子から兄ちゃんにことづてがあってねやあ親愛なるピグレット候補たち飼い主がいなくて寂しい思いをしていたかな先日の件見事に解決したそうじゃないか素晴らしい君は実によくできた愛玩動物だところで君先日の約束を忘れていないだろうね私は君を約束をたがえるような悪い豚に育てたつもりはないぞということで君の妹にことづてを託す確かに伝えたからなそうです
She even got the cadence right. Outstanding.
そんな風にただ
Oh, I swear to God.
And of course, Kaya takes it.
どこでそんな言い方を覚えたんだ。いや、誤解だ。
Where do you learn about stuff like that? A fair retort question.
約束というと、長屋に招くという話かな。
ああ。
Was it? Honestly, I was still thinking that, like, go over to her place for a while or something. I genuinely couldn't
も
remember.
しかしてお客
So we
さんですか
kind of more or less said, hey, you should come around for some of Kaya's cooking, like, as a return favor for all the cooking you've done for us.
準備しなくちゃね
飼い主ではない。キル系め。ともかく、力を貸してくれ、カヤ。普段通りの食事を支度してくれればいい。
I get the feeling that Kaya just intentionally misinterprets these things at this point because it's funnier that way.
It's also hard to say how much is her and how much is Saber's wife as well.
Yeah.
待たせたねピグレット候補たち私がいなくて寂しかったかい寂しかったろもちろんちゃんと手土産も持ってきたぞ私手製の冷装だ期待してくれたまえよ
Huh. What's this now? Oh, that's pretty sick. That could cut a supply line pretty fast.
Yeah, and then you could just head off in a different direction.
嬉しそう
Yep.
嬉しそうはあまあ誰かに招待を受けるなんて久しぶり
There's an understatement.
私はいつも
Yeah, I don't recall of many, if any, stories of her actually even getting off her island.
Yeah, like, I genuinely don't think I remember one either. Like, she was just always on her island as a hermit. And everybody both wanted her around and hated having her around at the same time. Mostly the latter.
甘酸っぱいの恐ろしき魔女かと思いきやいじらしい面も。
よし、また豚になりたいかい？
クワバラクワバラ。
この面白本の発言はさておいて、嬉しいのは確かだよ。君に何かを返したい。君の役に立ちたい。霊地を長く離れられないのは少々厄介だが、そのあたりの問題さえうまく解決できるなら、私は君のために何だってするとも。
That sounds weird, but honestly, like, the harder I think about it, the more I realize that there are if you started to pile up all of the, like, ancient heroes that just being respectful to would like get them instantly on your side, and those that wouldn't, I'm starting to feel like that's almost 50-50. Like, just showing basic manners and being nice to people. Like 50-50 chance you get a legendary hero on your side.
Yeah, you just have to be careful. Well, she is, semi-divine. Jason himself in Fate Grand Order says the only thing worse than getting the hatred of the gods is getting the affection of the gods.
True.
And now we have unlocked her noble phantasm, where she causes a gigantic
an invitation to the feast of beasts and madness. Fantastic. What a turn of phrase. So appropriate for Kirke.
Yeah, and so there we go. That's pretty sure that's the last Kirke digression, and we've unlocked a noble phantasm. And I will show that off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a good handover.
Yeah, shoot.
Another important thing is just gotta keep chipping away at this workshop, you know. Because unlocking enough of the workshop is also a big part of unlocking some of Iori's skills. Like we're really at the sort of the bottlenecking part of it where we won't max out everything before the end of the the first run through, just because it would be extremely difficult to do.
That looks like it would require just an absolutely ridiculous amount of grinding. I suspect it also wouldn't help that much either.
Yeah, and we got those last few Aria slots opened up as well because we finished Trojan Aggressions as well.
Great.
Pretty sure the only ones we won't be finishing off this time for the first run through are Rogue Assassins and Rogue Archers.
Oh, this should be good.
Yes, this is we're doing a digression for Saber this time.
Huh! Why is that? Alright, whatever. This is wholesome enough that I'm willing to entertain it without too many extra questions.
どうか手を貸してくれまいか。義はじきに終わる。いおりも私も暇はないと心得ているが、それでもだ。私はあの子に残してやりたい。義が終われば、私たちは
ダメだ。などというものか。
And yes, that's sort of the
sword
of Damocles that's hanging over this entire thing is that
Right.
once the entire ritual is completed, the servants are no longer required and will be sent back to the throne.
そうか。そうか。感謝する。好きだぞ、より。
それで何を集める？
そこなのだが、実はもう大方の材料は集めてある。 いおりに手伝ってほしいのは最後の仕上げにいるものだ。
Huh. I feel like you've got some great ogre's horn, don't you?
Yeah, but maybe it's a specific one.
いや、かぐや様は特に関わりないぞ。
いや、いい。ともかく、この材料は実在するんだ。
He's of course referring to Lady Kaguya, the woman that fell from the moon, and essentially refused to marry all the suitors that were sent to her, and she would send them impossible tasks.
Right.
And the people would try and BS the result, and she'd always see through them.
一つあるぞ。持っていそうなものにすでに目星をつけた。
Is it boss?
Well, considering Saber isn't super reluctant about it, no, actually, it's somebody else who is a collector of things.
I was hoping it would be boss anyway.
And pause for dramatic effect.
Son of a black-hearted whore!
Now, I did say she wasn't the protagonist of any digressions anymore, but she is still around. She's a background character now.
Damn it.
You're hanging outside of our house, Aria.
Yeah.
We're not even coming to visit you. We're walking
Yeah,
past you.
like, we can't get away from you.
私だ。君に聞きたいことがあるのだ。
そうなんですの？ええ、この素材なら確かに持っておりますわ。
But because you're a fox, you're gonna want something in return.
やはりか。頼む、譲ってくれまいか。
でもお気に入りの品ですの。いおり様の頼みならともかく。
そうか。
そうだ。ピーンときましたわ。
Does that ping again?
Wow.
私の欲しいものと交換してくださいな。
It's like the 2-year-old's way of saying I have an idea.
いおり様がたまに握りしめていらっしゃるその綺麗な石が欲しいのです。
いおり。
そんな顔をするな。根は張るが、唯一無二。
Yeah, we're manufacturing a whole bunch and boss sells them in packs of 10, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are we talking about, like mage stones here?
Yeah. Yeah, she just wants his gem, so it's like,
Okay,
it's a
sure,
one-of-a-kind treasure.
like-
Give me lots.
唯一無二でありながら、しかし。
It's one of a kind because you're holding it. She's obsessed with you. Like, dude, don't read into this.
承知した。
Look, you've got to understand, Fate protagonists have extreme blockhead issues. There are jokes made about Fate Stay Night's protagonist Shiro and his inability to understand sexual innuendo.
Fantastic. I mean, I get why that's a thing. One of the last things you want to do as a writer is have one of your protagonists be substantially more clever than your readers, because if the protagonist is dumber, then your reader might feel impatient the way I am. But if the protagonist is smarter, then they feel belittled, that's what'll cause them to close the damn book.
I will say, in terms of like visual novel sequences, I have done particularly by Type Moon, the folks who make these. Tsukihime has probably my favorite one, which is wherein a character accidentally kicks a chair and has an entire monologue internally about how fucking mad he is. He fucking kicked his ankle on a chair. Why is this chair here? This chair, this chair, this chair, this chair. It's great. It's very realistic for anyone.
Relatable.
Yeah, it's the most relatable sequence ever.
Like, just today, I bonked my
So
my
good.
head on the trunk of the car as I was like throwing some tools in to go shift them to a friend's house, and I was just so incredibly fucking mad, and I just bellowed out a few curses because I was so fucking mad. And 2 of my neighbors from across the street just immediately looked up like they were hearing somebody being murdered. I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not sorry. I am not sorry about being mad about bonking my head. This happened like 12 hours ago. I'm still not sorry.
But yes, we do apparently need a specific ogre horn.
Okay.
こう手強い鬼の話はあるか。
鬼ってのはみんな手強いだろう。しかしあるぜ。とっておきの噂が。
Yeah, we don't exactly have to pretend monsters aren't a thing now since Sukunoshin's fought one. We've visited Todoroki a lot.
このところ辻斬りだの浪人が人情沙汰を起こしただの多いだろう。その辺の恨みだか血だかを吸って大層大柄な鬼が出ちまったって話さ。
I don't know, seems legit.
酔いながら轟山中をさまよってるそうだが、今じゃ山から離れた村にまで夜な夜な大鬼の叫びが届くんだとよ。
どうだ、轟の何がしは。望みの品は得られそうか。
やってみればわからん。いずれにせよ放ってはおけまい。
Correct. Like that was going to be my point as well. Like you just heard this story about this great ogre. Even if it doesn't have exactly the one that you want, like you're gonna have to kill it eventually anyway.
Yep, that big ogre got a goger.
おお、人に連れられた犬だ。狩りか？
いや、街中に狩り犬はいないだろう。あれはせいぜいが番犬だ。犬といえばカヤも昔近場の犬を可愛がっていたな。
Well, I used to.
犬はいい。白い犬は特に。
Well, he doesn't hang out with her as much anymore, so he probably doesn't see how she interacts with him. He's probably referring to when they were little.
Yeah, alright, that makes sense.
Alright, Todoroki time. Still a really nice place. There's like a lot of stuff out in that
I always
direction.
forget exactly how big this map is because it's actually 2 maps.
Yeah, all nice and glued together, but it's up at the shrine. I'm not sure we visited this particular one yet. But we're going to be doing a little something first, because this always cracks me up.
Yeah, I thought Saber was charging at that cat.
いささか物足りぬか？いやだが、そこは私の剣で。
何の話だ？
何って、滝でやることといえば一つだろう。さあ行くぞ、より。あの滝で汚れのことごとく見そごうではないか。
Okay, you know what? That's fair, I guess.
いるいとまは、いや、たまには付き合ってやる。
I mean that what Saber's asking you to do is take a break for a refreshing shower. Like, you got time for that, bruh.
Yeah, he just had to think about it for a few seconds, and then was like, well, actually, you know, this is like a good idea.
Always a good idea to get a shower.
よしよし。
うんやつめ。
Alright, now let's go visit the shrine and sort out the, Oh no, it's in the cave. He's in the cave! These guys still hanging out here.
Like you guys mind? Because like there's about to be some shit that goes down over here.
普段の大鬼。
Now look at that horn.
That's that is a compensating for something horn.
期待はできる。
And away we go.
I was wondering what you were waiting for, and I was hoping it was that.
Yeah, I'd say the ogres are probably the most parryable.
It's so cinematic. You're just sort of standing there, almost bored, and he finally winds up and does something, and you're just like, nah. It was like that time when we finished Dark Souls 1 together, and Gwyn showed up. Like, he did exactly one attack. I parried it, and then we just bullied him to death. That was it. He just jumps at us, I parry and knock him down, and then we just ricochet him between the two of us until he died.
He knows what he did.
He knows exactly what he did. That ogre also knows exactly what he did.
He ate up all that resentment and malice, and then we were able to bop him on the head, and I guess that disposes it. I don't understand how it works.
Meh.
Like, it's cleansed. We've cleansed it, I guess. Yeah, so we're off to fight a mermaid shell at the port. I don't know what that means.
I mean, if you wanted me to be annoyingly practical about it, that basically says to me that you're gonna go find like a manatee carcass or something. But you know, manatees aren't exactly native to this part of the Pacific Ocean, so there's that.
That sounds like we lost sight of our huge manatee. No sense in sticking around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think you need to leave this cave before it'll let you fast travel.
I don't even think that's the case. I don't know. Like,
that might just be me internalizing other games as semantics.
この海で最愛の人を失った。彼女はとても優しい人だった。私の血に濡れた手もためらわずに握ってくれた。握ってくれた温かなその手を絶対に離すまいと、そう誓ったはずだった。だが結局私は彼女を海に沈ませてしまった。あの時彼女の手を握るべきだった。何としてでも引き止めるべきだったんだ。
セイバ
ー。私いや、なんでもない。ともあれ、このような思いは二度とごめんだ。だからいおり。
ああ。互いに悔いなき行動を心がけよ
う。よい。では行くぞ。
There's a moment where maybe I was nah, you understood each other real well in that moment, bruh. Must we?
セイバ
ー。ここであったがなんとやらだ。解く片付けよう。
You're walking around with a large beacon of magical energy. Monsters are about to turn up, wanting to eat it, and then realize it's someone with a very large sword. And then it's like, oh, this was a mistake I've made today.
Yeah, like this is just annoying at this point. Idiots. As movie cool as Void Stance is, I think I love the big hulking badass motions of Fire Stance more.
Fire Stance is pretty great. I do love like the finishers for Void Stance the most though.
The finishers for Void Stance are just those are full on like samurai movie ideal. So good. Okay
like
then.
one of them had eaten a mermaid recently, I guess.
とはいささか違うか。
見つかった見つかったああ本当にありがとうより私は嬉しいやったー
やれやれ、いい顔をするものだ。礼は品を仕上げてからでいい。ところで何を
A good question. I'm curious about that myself.
それは出来上がってのお楽しみだ。
Yeah, fully.
Don't worry, that won't take long.
Yeah, that's a fair answer, honestly.
満足いくものは作れたか。
いささか時を要したが、私の思いはすべて込められたと思う。
そうか。入魂の一作、俺も見るのが楽しみだ。ではカヤを呼んでこよう。しばし待っていてくれ、セイバー。
セイバーさん、なんでしょう、私に用事って。
これを受け取ってほしい。
And the animators in this show are constantly working way overtime.
これ、私に
Like having Saber shyly look away. So beautiful.
その感謝
Yeah, the player would most often be looking at the portraits and the text, but they don't skim on the animations. And
Yeah.
you'll always see Saber moving and doing something in a lot of sequences. Like, Iori tends to stay very static, because that's just the kind of person he is. He might shift
Yeah,
very slightly.
that's it. He's very impassive. That's just what he does.
Yeah, but you'll always see Saber and Kaguya sort of shifting around a lot.
Yeah, Saber has a lot of emoting
こ
going
れ
on.
セイバーさんが作ったんですか？すごいすごい。だからなのかな。本当にありがとうございます。
気にするな。よければ使ってやってくれ。
1日50回はすきますね。そうだ、セイバーさん、
なんだ？
記念すべきひとすき目、セイバーさんにお願いしてもいいですか？
How
何か
adorable.
と思えば良いのか、私で。
ぜひ。
わかった。任せてくれ。
ありがとうございます。ほら、兄上。じゃないよ、もう。
Get out of here, asshole!
You're ruining the mood.
すまん。全くわからん。
これだから兄上は。剣筋は読めても乙女心は読めないんだね。
放っておけ。
Guess he's a little touchy about that.
Using what little juice he's got well, this
大事な
guy.
時間なの。
So get the hell out of here, bro.
ああ、わかったわかった。
Fucking love this pose.
馬に蹴られないうちに散歩にでも行くさ。
兄ちゃん、一言多いんだから、まったく。
The word he used for beast right there is relatively equivalent to wild animal, by the way.
君、
ねえ、なんで私に櫛を？しかもこれ私の。
そうだ。あの海辺に流れ着いた櫛を模して作った。だから返す。君の形見など、別れの櫛など、ごめんな。あの時からずっと君に返せていなかったから。
もう まだあの時のこと気にして。
ごめん。私の大切な君。
うん、わかってる。苦しかったよね。大変だったよね。悪を倒して善をなす、そう自らを定めた英雄があなた。誰に望まれなくても、痛みも孤独も迷わず背負って進み続ける。そんなあなたを私は誇らしく思ってた。あなたの隣にあれることが誇りだった。あなたの役に立てるなら、それがどんなことだって。だから私は誇りを胸に海へと進んだの。ずっと歩き続け戦い続けたあなたの道を初めて私が切り開いてあげられる。こんなに嬉しいことはなかったよ。私の櫛は私の誇りの証だから、この櫛があなたの誇りの証なら私は嬉しいな。
私はそれでも今度こそ君を守ると誓う。
Oh, fantastic.
It's a really great little sequence. I'm quite fond of it.
Brilliantly
All
done.
right.
10 out of 10. Top marks. No notes.
All right. Rogue Lancer time.
Oh, sup, bro?
貴殿は
よう、イオリ、セイバー。英月の儀も終わりが見えてきた頃合いだ。いよいよ正念場だな。だがその前にな、やるべきことをやっとこうや。まさか忘れたわけじゃねえよな。
当然だとも。
I can't help but notice that even the background music is giving a subtle hint as to homie's identity here.
So you might as well vocalize it since at the end of this this
I
particular
mean,
digression.
it like I recognized what it was once I saw his move. Like one of his primary moves is Gay Bolg, the name of the personal weapon of the OG cow thief Cuchulain. Like that, there wasn't a whole lot of ambiguity there.
Well, I won't confirm or deny that, but yeah, Cuchulain is the protagonist of, well, I'd say protagonist of a long story called the Ulster Cycle, which is essentially just a Celtic history of various things. Although I don't think he was the cattle rustler in that particular case. He was like the cattle protector in the entire story.
After stealing cattle, like that was the big thing. He stole a bunch of cattle. And then he proved his right to them by then protecting them from counter raids. Like the entire thing goes into a very sort of circular thing in Celtic myth. Like if anybody here ever played King of Dragon Pass, it also made it into, for example, that game, which is where I originally became familiar with with a lot of the myth and the storytelling is when I originally played that game and started reading more and more into that. But fundamentally, you know, like the attitude towards cattle rustling is that everybody does it. It's how young bravos, you know, prove their mettle without anybody being in too much danger. You know, you can still get your head split open, but it's pretty rare. You have to be pretty far out of line.
Well, the particular instance of cattle rustling that really made his name was actually when the forces of Queen Maeve came to try and steal the Ulster's prize bull because her husband had one more bull than she had, so she was trying to negotiate to get a good enough bull to meet up with that. And and as the story goes, the messenger that had been negotiating the deal, although the deal was pretty much gonna go ahead, the deal got cancelled because the messenger said that, well, it's just as well you did that, because if you didn't, we were gonna attack you. And so that resulted in them not making the deal, and Queen Maeve going, well, okay, we're going to steal it instead. And she went to the Ulster with a large army, and Cuchulain was forced to deal with it entirely by himself, because every other man in Ulster had been cursed to experience labor pains, which is that just
incredibly
sounds
Celtic.
Yeah, that just sounds to me more like someone just had a really bad burrito or something. But you know what? Because I can guarantee you, any man who's like, oh, is it so much better? It's like, is it labor pains? It's like, no, you don't understand. Like that is something that in the 21st century we can actually say, no, you actually don't get it, because we can map out where all of those nerves are firing. And by the way, dudes, I am telling you, as a dude who has reviewed the data, no, you don't get it. So anyway, Cuchulain was not involved in that because he was off having sex, and then so he he has a lot of sex.
Dude has
in the Ulster cycle.
Load of sex.
The man gets lots of sex, and so he basically stalls the entire army until everyone gets over their quotation marks labor pains. By challenging every single lord that was brought there to one-on-one combat, and their honor would not allow them to say no, and so he basically trash canned the morale of an entire raiding party just because he kept beating every single person that was good until the Ulster folk came out and rallied and pushed her away again. But the story of Cuchulain is a very interesting one, because he was sort of his birth. There's a lot of different tellings of his birth. It's quite possibly he had, in some tellings of the story, he had an immaculate birth. In other ones, he was born twice, which is a hell of a thing to explain. Don't worry about it. But he was born as a young boy and he was named Setanta, and he was sort of basically raised by a lot of the different men of the Ulster. And so he learned at the feet of a lot of great different warriors, including Fergus, who was at one point a king of them, but then he went over to Queen Maeve, because Queen Maeve was famous for having a tremendous sexual appetite herself, and as the story goes, it would take 30 men in one night to satisfy her, or Fergus.
Or Fergus.
Fergus was Ku had a lot of sex. Fergus did sex best. And so anyway, and so Setanta got his adult name of Cuchulain, which is the Hound of Cuchulain, basically because he was invited to this sort of, I suppose you call it, feast, and he was like, okay, but I got some things to do, so I'm going to be late. And so he was late, but the guy who invited him forgot that he'd invited him, because obviously they'd been drinking. And so he turns up, and they'd already set their guard hound out there. And defending himself, Setanta killed the hound, because the hound was basically
gonna tear his throat out. That was
that was what it's trained to do.
It is important to understand that when we say guard hound in the old Celtic tradition. We're talking about a dog that was most likely it was definitely trained to attack, and it was probably halfway starved. Those dogs did not fuck around.
So yeah, and so taking responsibility, even though by all accounts it really wasn't his fault, young Satanta said, well, until you can train your new dog, I'll fulfill that role. I will, I'll help you on hunting. I will assist you in guarding your territory, that sort of thing. Saber trying to explain how the water comes out of the sword.
Don't worry about it.
And so that was basically the start of his legend, and what follows is he gets in a lot of conflicts against extremely strong people and wins. He gets trained in the use of trained for fighting by Skahak, the Queen of Shadows, the lady who sort of, as far as I understand it, guards the gateway between the living and the dead. And she trains him in the use of the spear and gives him Gay Bolg, which is a extremely terrifying cursed spear. That and its curse is essentially that when you use, if you activate its curse when you hit someone with it, the splinters come out of the spear and will basically just go up the arteries of whoever it is, just like roots in a tree, until eventually the person is just impaled from the inside out, a great many times. It's like a horrible, grisly, painful way to go, and the worst part about it being that it doesn't actually just go back into the stick after it happens. You have to try and pull the spear out, because it's not gonna the thorns aren't gonna go away until there's no more blood for it to drink, and it was used twice in its story, in the story that I'm aware of. Once was during the cattle raid, when one of the Queen Maeve's warriors was his Ku's oldest friend growing up, and in another instance when one of his a son that he had, and this is always a funny story, a son he had via Skahak's sister, I think is Aif. And she and Skahak were excellent warrior women, and didn't get along very well. And so at one particular instant, Aif was coming to attack, and Skahak was like, "Well, I can't let Satanta go out and fight her. He's not ready. So I'll just have him drink this potion that should knock him out for a few hours while we go and sort this out." And of course, because he's Ku, he basically just tanks through that potion and wakes up way sooner than expected. And goes out and fights to help Skahak. And one of the things about him is that while he's he's depicted as a very honorable, great warrior, he's also really not above gaming the rules of honor and gaming the system in order to win. And knowing that this woman was extremely fond of her horse and chariot, where they were fighting was by some cliffs, and as they were fighting, he said to her, "Oh, while you're distracted, your horse is just running off the cliff." And she just looks over "Oh no, my horse, my chariot," and Ku takes advantage of that and knocks her down and says, "Okay, I'm gonna kill you unless you surrender, and here are my terms. The first is you're gonna stop this feud with your sister. That's really stupid for both of you, so knock that shit off." And she's like, "Okay." And what's the other one? He's like, "Bear me a child." And so she does, and she trains the child to fight. And he's like, and you have to send him to meet me at some point. And she's like, "Okay." Doesn't and it basically sends the son and gives the son instructions: do not tell anyone who you are and accept any challenge. And so he arrives at the All-Star. Ku challenges him. He refuses to name himself. They fight, and suddenly at the end they both realize who the other is, but it's too late. Gay Bolg has already been thrust inside of him, and the boy dies. So it's a bit of a tragic story. But Ku only lives to be 17, so he gets a lot done in a very small amount of time. Ultimately, because he makes so many enemies by being so effective in his legend that he eventually just falls to a very concerted, very directed attempt to kill him. Every single relative of everyone he's pissed off Queen Maeve, they all just like come up with like 100 different ways to kill him and deploy them all at once. And even then, it takes everything they've got to essentially almost kill him. And he ties himself to a can stone, and still like fights on after that. After even like his chariot driver is killed, his horse is killed, and he's mortally wounded, and ultimately everybody who's tried to kill him along the way either dies or is killed shortly afterwards. With even Queen Maeve getting killed later on as well as a result of her actions. It goes like, so he takes out a lot of people with him. And then he dies. And like the reason they even get him that far is because they play to his gears, which was he wasn't allowed to eat dog meat. But at the same time, there was like a greater taboo, which was refusing someone's refusing someone's hospitality. So like someone disguised as
that's the reason. That's a reasonable way to put it. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but we've only got a little bit of time, right? So
yeah. Essentially, he can't refuse the meal, but he shouldn't eat the meal, and so he takes the lesser of two things, but it still weakens him enough that they're able to like use all the other bullshit that they had on hand to get him. They deployed a lot against him.
it was very like. Even the entire point where Cuchulain ended up getting killed early on was like that was very much a trope in a lot of Celtic storytelling. Is like if you've ever wondered where only the good die young come from, it's a lot of that comes from ancient Celtic and sometimes Welsh and English storytelling. It threads through a lot of their stuff, but like the greatest heroes all die very young.
Well, you're being mind controlled, but we were being very busy working on so.
Miyamoto Iori.
正直幾度か死を覚悟した。こたびは幸運を拾わせてもらった。次もこうとはいくまい。
だろうな。だがお前負けるつもりはない顔をしてるぜ。いいね。ケルトの勇士とはいささか違うが悪くない。どうだよりこのままもう一戦。
待て待て、ランサーよ、約定を忘れていまいな。
ああ、そういやそうだった。そんじゃよりこの間お前に言った通りだ。俺はこれからはお前の勝利のため力のすべてを捧げよう。俺を味方につけたことを後悔させねえぜ。この空風林の槍いつでも当てにしてくれ。
Yup, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, it was never really any doubt.
No, like when you showed off the skill Gay Bolg, like there's literally no other heroic figure who used that spear.
Yeah, so he has his noble phantasm version of it, which reverses causality.
Great.
Which is and also we get one of his techniques.
Oh shit, boy!
This is the other thing about several of the servants that we max out aggressions with. We learn some of their abilities. They cost gems to perform. So yeah, like basically the idea is you've been the thrust the spear at you, it hit you. That means you've been wounded by it. It kind of flips that around, and it takes a lot of like. It takes a lot of skill to not get hit by something that reverses the order of how getting stabbed by a spear works.
You're stabbed before the thrust comes at... Wait, what? Run that by me again? No, you can't.
He'll run that through you again.
Yeah, exactly. He already ran it through you. You can't run it by you again because it's already done. Like, you don't understand how this works.
And yes, and it's quite an expensive skill. But we will get eventually get something that reduces the gem cost and that sort of stuff. And now having completed that, you see we've still got a lot of digressions to do.
So let's look here. Okay, right. So you had mentioned that we're gonna learn Rogue Saber's true name too. This one, I'll admit, I actually don't know. Like I've got no friggin' clue, and it's clear that he's like an older Japanese hero, and I don't have the patience to read back far enough for anybody but Saber. Saber earns it. This other cat. You're Rogue Saber. You're not actual Saber.
Technically not as old as you think. He's actually more he's more late Heian actually.
恩人に対して礼を失しかねん。そんな風にいつか言われたことがある。
ふむふむ。顔が見えるとなんだ。
That's generally the point of those samurai masks. Yes.
At least it wasn't like a giant satellite dish on the head. The hat game in the Sengoku era is like insane.
It's very on point.
ならばせめて礼をさせてもらいたい。恩義には礼をもって答えねばだ。
There is actually sort of a few little hints in his design that might actually help people figure it out. The most important one being the little symbol on his wrist down there. The other is his shoulder pad with the bull's horns. And the last one is actually the little design on the blue parts of his outfit, the little leafy designs.
わかった。貴殿の技、この目でしかと見よ
う。では、我が名は木曽次郎源義仲。
Yeah, I would have had no chance at that one.
Yeah. So Kiso Yoshinaka is one of the major players in the sort of the opening salvos of the Genpei War, which is an event that happened in the it happened in the 1100s, the late 1100s of Japan. And essentially what had happened back in that period was there had sort of become a bit of a major rivalry split down the middle between the Taira clan and the Genji clan, of which the Minamotos were a family of the Genji clan. The Taira tended to be more nobles, while the Genji tended to be more warriors. And previously there had been a sort of an uprising attempt by the Genji, because they saw one particular Taira fella trying to essentially smooth himself in way too far into the imperial family, and they ultimately lost, and that consolidated more of this guy's power. And what ended up happening was that this member of the Taira essentially tried to subvert the flow of the imperial family by forcing the emperor to stand down and naming the guy's own grandson as the next emperor, which of course caused the actual children of the emperor to be like, we call upon people to come and kick this guy's ass. So while it's technically defined as being Taira versus Genji, there were a few Genji who fought alongside the Taira out of, like, you know, feeling they had to do it, or loyalty or whatever. And there were a lot of Taira who did not like what was happening here. They didn't like the subversion of the imperial family, and so they sided with them as well. And so there are like three major players in this entire thing, and they were Yoshitsune, Yoritomo, and Yoshinaka. And like Yoritomo, I believe, is the one who eventually wins the whole thing. He was not very well loved amongst the other Minamoto, but he ends up being the one that sort of pulls it all off in the end. But in the opening stages, when he was trying to get his forces together, the Taira whooped him in his butt. He eventually gets his brother Yoshitsuna to work with him, and Yoshitsuna is an incredible general who's responsible for most of the most of the insane victories that the Minamoto pulled off afterwards. But it was Yoshinaka who pulled off the big one that actually drove the forces that were loyal to this one Taira guy from the capital itself in a absolutely insane battle. It's called the Battle of Owazu, and he, like, it cannot be understated, like, how wild this battle was. Oh no, sorry, Owazu was where he died. Sorry, I was getting on. Kurikara Pass is where he pulled the shit off. Kurikara Pass was essentially this location that, like, he chose to sort of fight in on his way to the capital. He'd been engaged in a war with some time with the Taira forces, the Imperial forces, and he'd also, like, you know, things had been broken up by a famine for a while, which also probably didn't help the Imperial forces so much. But essentially what he did was he forced a night battle and lured the enemy into thinking that where they were via a camp that increased their numbers, made them look like they're a big camp with lots of dudes there. What he actually did was he moved around the other side of the pass, and basically had most of his dudes set up in ambush positions. And then, and this is where it sort of gets crazy, he got a whole bunch of ox together, put a whole lot of, like, straw and other flammable materials on the horns, and set them on fire and sent them charging into the enemy camp. The absolute raw confusion and terror this created sent the loyalist, like the Taira loyalist forces into complete disarray, and as a result, that's such a fucking attack. As a result, they were basically scattered in all sorts of directions, and the Minamoto forces just tore them apart. After that, Yoshinaka attempted to declare himself the shogun. The emperor didn't really like that so much, and ultimately, while he tried to enter into an alliance to try and take down Yoritomo with another Minamoto, sorry. That guy was like, nah, fuck this shit, and warned Yoritomo instead, and ultimately Yoshitsune defeated him at the Battle of Owazu. And yeah, it's he left the stage. He left the stage technically pretty early on, but suffice to say, he still played an incredibly strong role in it. And while he himself isn't in any other Fate works, one of his wives is actually in Fate Grand Order.
No shit.
And he will talk about her once we're done here, so I will hold off on talking too much about her. But it's, you know, it's an interesting point. So yeah, like, he's not the most obvious character, but when you look him up, you go, ah, yes, no, I can see why this guy's here. I can see why they chose this guy.
Like half of the crazy ass tactics you're talking about reminds me so strongly of the being a second century warlord in China that like meme that came out, you know, however long ago with. I'm still mad that, like, you and I did some background research, because we both know a decent bit of the history of like the feudal history of China. Neither one of us could figure out who the fuck that was supposed to be.
Yeah, because it just kept happening to everybody.
like those stories, while insane, were not unique. The entire thing about how, you know, hey, I put a whole bunch of brooms on my horse's tail, so it would make a whole bunch of dust, make it look like there's a whole bunch of dudes there. But it just rained that morning, so it
didn't work.
It didn't work at all. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down for Chinese history?
I will say as well, in spite of his claims that he descended from the Taira, fairly safe to say Oda Nobunaga took a lot of inspiration from Minamoto no Yoshinaka and his night attack in his own particular famous night attack.
わずかながら懐かしき日々を見た。金平、金光、 友柄と共に脳をかけた日々を
So yeah, but that's why he's got the bull motive and a lot of fire motive as well.
加わりたいと
Right.
話があったろうか。いや、笑ったろうな。
And yes, Tomoe,
我が太刀を受け切った貴殿の武者
one of his concubines.
実に見事だったぞ。
柔らかに微笑むのだな、旭将軍。
伝えるべきは伝えた。我が技、すでに貴殿のものだ。
おう、ありがたく使わせてもらう。こたびの立ち会い、きっと忘れまい。
さらば私は行く。未だ果たすべき使命が残っているゆえ。幾多の戦場をかけた。カバネの山を越えた先に穏やかな世があると信じて。いいな。俺が真に求めていたのはただ彼女と共に静かに生きてゆける明日であった。ゆえにこそ彼女なき当世にかけるべき願いはなく、他者を除いて満たすべき欲もない。友え、友え、お前さえいたならば。いや、俺はただ使命に準ずるのみ。主情を貪る悪鬼を断つ。鬼が闇を呼ぶならば朝日の将軍が立たねばなるまいよ。
Yeah, that was Tomoe Gozen. The and here it goes. We get his true name, and we also get press the attack Kurikawa pass, which, to the surprise of no one, is him sending a lot of bulls your way. And we also learn his insane Assail the Darkness attack. So now Iori can just go absolutely spinning.
Oh, that was
Obviously,
that
not to the
torpedo
same
attack
degree,
he
but...
was using the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was commenting to myself about 3 or 4 times how absolutely beautiful it was that you were reposting that in the middle of it. But there was no damn way I was going to interrupt what you were talking about, because it was such a great story.
Yeah, a lot of good history, Chad. I felt like it was really important for everyone to sort of get the full picture of who this character is, and, indeed,
bluntly, there's been two like actual history teachers that I spoke to that watched bits and pieces of our Neo Let's Play, and both of them were just like I might as well use this crap in my in my freaking classes. Like, I have nothing to add. This is great.
My fondness for Japanese history always sort of shines through. I made sure I had an entry up, like, so that when I said something, like when I said the Battle of Owazu, and I was like, well, no, that's not right. It was Kurikawa. Like, even my brain was like, no, dude, remember it, Kurikawa. But yeah, like, yeah, it's just, yeah, like, it's such a rich history. And honestly, everywhere has rich history if you're interested enough in examining it. Japan's not the only country in the world that's had a lot of interesting warriors and a lot of interesting stories. We were just talking about the Ulster cycle, for example. That is an entire thing in itself.
I mean, I feel like it's worth noting that when I say something like, I haven't had the time to read into this particular style of storytelling or vein of storytelling, that's because there are so many styles and veins of storytelling to look into, like between Celtic storytelling, Norman storytelling, Indian storytelling, Japanese storytelling, Chinese storytelling, Aztec storytelling, more and more and more. You can seriously spend weeks on end just on these huge adventures, and I genuinely recommend that anybody who has even the slightest bit of interest in anything that has been sparked off in any of our Let's Plays or anything you've seen here, go look at it. If you want, join our Discord and come talk about it, because like, we will talk about it, and you will come out a richer person for having read all of these ancient stories. You simply will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you do want to learn more about the Genpei War, there is a epic with multiple authors written about it, called the Tale of Heike, and it essentially details the story of the evil Tyra dude who basically overreached and ultimately caused the foundation of the first major shogunate in Japanese history. And now we're getting on to more digressions. You guys saw we still had plenty to go, but next episode is a digression series, and it's all going to be boss. It's all boss all the time. It is an entire
I'm gonna need
episode.
more than one beer for that one.
You are not ready. Nobody was ready.
I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited. Ever since I realized that's Gilgamesh, I knew every time we interacted with him, I was gonna be happy.
Yeah, and there's more Gilgamesh than you could possibly ever handle. At least until we get to the first DLC, which is even more boss than we can handle. So I've been the Last Robo Kai,
and I have been Cool Guy,
and we'll see y'all next time for Boss.